You're watching Guude. You're watching Guude. Fighting just to save our lives. Got you laughing every night.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
How have you been?
Good. I read a very interesting news article today that is interesting for a completely different reason than I thought it was going to be when I first started reading this article. And I'm curious on what your take is on this.
Okay.
The article was titled, "Why Retiring Early Was Not a Good Idea."
And is
And
it
I was
written
like,
from the perspective of someone who has retired early?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was written from the person who wrote the article was somebody who retired early. And by early, I think it was like their mid to late 30s.
Okay.
So not like, early 20s, but not, like 50s or 60s.
Right.
Early, but like almost 40 type of deal.
Right.
And I was like, that's an interesting concept. I wonder why it wasn't. And the thing was basically about how this person essentially just got bored. They liked working and got bored not having any responsibility type of deal was what the article was going toward. And I was like, okay, I can understand that. And I can respect that. But so it talks about that in the first couple lines, and basically she found out that it was a woman. She talked about how she really found out she just really enjoyed working, and that's why it was a mistake to retire early.
I mean, that's
And
a
she
pretty
said
common
also-
thing that I've heard.
Oh, I don't disagree. I think even I think my dad retired from 2 different jobs and still works full time because he gets bored. He doesn't want to sit around and do nothing. That's not his idea of enjoyment. He wants to keep busy and do stuff. And I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, but you could just do anything you wanted. You could travel, blah, blah, blah. That's not what everybody wants to do.
And not everyone, I mean, people were retired, but that doesn't mean that they retired and they're like, I got an extra $10,000 a month, so what can I do?
Yeah, you don't all of a sudden have money to go spend on extravagant vacations and all that because you're retired. But this person said that one of the things that she had to grapple with when retiring early was the fact that she's a feminist, and being a feminist and her retiring early meant she was taking a strong woman out of the upper workforce.
Huh. That's interesting.
And I said, that's an interesting spin on this, is that you're saying that you're a feminist and basically you want strong women in the upper levels of management and companies and things like that. And basically you're kind of being, what she's saying, using her own words, she's being hypocritical by retiring early because she's kind of going against her cause. And I was like, I'm not sure I agree with that take. It's almost like saying, I think women should be in power, therefore I must work forever and never retire because women should be in power. It's kind of just a weird...
I don't know. It's kind of like if you're a Supreme Court justice, and you know that if you leave office right now, that someone's going to get appointed that goes against your views. So even if your health isn't in the greatest shape, you stay on to prevent.
You stay on just so that you can get somebody like you to replace you.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a weird concept. So that's not the full extent of my confusion and strangeness with this article, though, because then she goes on to say that she grappled with that at first, and then as she had made up her mind and set up that I am going to retire, she started to make her plans and things like that. And she said it made it a little bit easier for a while because she found herself very much helping out her female colleagues more, which really helped pass the time to retirement. But it made it a better work environment and all this stuff. It made her, work life kind of fun at the end because she was focusing on helping out her female colleagues so that they could go up the ranks and become strong and powerful, as opposed to battling with them for positions like she had in the past.
Huh. That seems like anti.
So that's what I was gonna say. I'm going. you're a feminist who thinks you're hypocritical for retiring because you're taking a strong woman out of the workforce, and then going on and saying that since you decided to retire, you started helping other women, but before that you were basically just competing with them because you wanted a job that they were also competing for.
Maybe the article was poorly worded too. Like, it may have just been the fact that she worked in a competitive workforce, period, and so it had always been competitive. Not that she didn't want other women to succeed. It was just that if she herself was going to succeed, she was going up.
She had to beat out the other women,
right?
So I can see the perspective that you're talking about, and that's probably what was meant by what she said. But it made the whole article, like, I stopped reading the article after that because I was just so focused on, like, trying to figure out if this, or maybe are many people who, I don't just mean feminists, even like male chauvinists who think that they're better than everybody, is that their mantra as well? Like, if men who think that women are nothing and never want a woman in power, but they're battling with other men for positions until they're going to retire and then groom another man to take over for them. I guess that's the same thing, right?
Yeah. So that's exactly the same thing.
It's just such a weird concept to think about that. You have this. You're not just there and saying, I will do everything in my power to make sure it's either myself or somebody other like-minded person like me is going to get this job, but you really do battle for them, even though it could theoretically. It's almost like splitting the multiple people running for presidency in the next election. You might end up splitting the vote, which takes like a side down. I don't know. It doesn't.
That's why I think it's hilarious.
You don't get voted on in a job normally. So.
I think it's hilarious the Democrats that were super angry at Bernie for running Democrat, and they're like, he should have ran independent if he was going to run. Shit, that's the last fucking thing you want. He was running independent. You definitely would have ended up with a Trump presidency. Yeah,
because Clinton would have gotten like 30% of the vote. Bernie would have gotten like 20 or 30% of the vote. Not 30%, but they were 30% of the vote even, and Trump would have got 40.
Right? Yeah. No, it would have been the biggest nightmare scenario is to split the vote even further. Who ran? Someone else ran too, right? There was,
a lot of people ran because you can run but not. I don't understand how you can have your name in the ballot, but not in every state.
Well, because there's states have different laws about that, and you have to register by a certain time in that state, and there's all these things. Like even in the primaries, that happens.
But since it's for the federal president, shouldn't the ballot just be the same?
Well, you would think. I mean, this should be consistent across the board, period. Like, back in the 2000, we shouldn't have had this whole issue with the hanging chads in Florida.
Like, you think every state should vote the exact same way?
Oh,
do you remember when I talked about when I voted in D.C. and I voted electronic, and I thought it was weird that they gave me that paper printout?
Right, that you then put in a machine.
So I listened to an NPR story the other day about talking about there's this other, the electronic voting, and I guess it is different in pretty much every state. And like, there's 13 states that use one similar to what I was describing, where it does an electronic printout that you're supposed to verify and then walk up to a machine and put it in. But then there's still this handful of states. There is no record at all, and it has caused problems in the past because there's no record of what you did because there's no paper ballot at all. So I guess it does have the purpose, exactly what you said. It was the purpose was.
Yeah, because think about just complex systems in general, like outside of voting. There's always computer crashes and that sort of thing. So you don't want to put all your eggs in a database basket.
All your eggs in a database basket. Put the database in an incubator for 2 weeks, and you will have baby databases.
I've been watching a series on Netflix, strangely by Tom Hanks, or he's one of at least the executive producers. It's called The 2000s. It's like rehashing. It's kind of like those old MTV shows where they talk about like shit that happened in a certain year, except it's about the 2000s in general. It's pretty good.
Okay. By Tom Hanks. What was the Tom Hanks movie in 2000?
I'm sorry, not Tom Hanks. God, who the fuck is the guy? Is it Tom Hanks? Was he Castaway?
That's Tom Hanks.
Okay, yeah. Then yeah, it's Tom Hanks.
Was Castaway in 2000? Actually,
No.
that might have been around.
No, I mean
2000,
no,
right?
and there's not. I mean, it's not about Tom Hanks at all. He comes on there as
No,
like one of
I'm
the
trying
actors.
to think of what Tom Hanks was doing in 2000.
Oh,
if he's
yeah.
making this thing about 2000.
I mean, it's just about like one whole episode just focused on Bush, basically. One whole episode kind of focused on the war in Iraq. One episode focused on the rise of the tech industry, like Apple, Microsoft, Facebook,
Amazon,
Amazon,
MySpace,
and then the kind of the fall of the tech industry as well. Whenever the bubble burst. MySpace was one of them.
Dig.
I mean, watching it, at the time, I remember not having a lot of respect for President Bush, but watching this series back, there's so much that, you forget as it happened. And I mean, since Bush has left office and we had Obama and everything, like over time, watching President Bush in a way where I don't have to think of him as my president and stuff, I started to gain a lot of respect for him. But watching this 2000 series, like I've gained a lot of respect for him, like seeing, like just remembering how bad everything was and just how well he actually did handle 9/11 and that sort of stuff. Like, I mean, he didn't do a perfect job. Don't get me wrong there. But, I mean, what was thrown at him on that day, like, I mean, I can't imagine Trump being in that position. It would be a nightmare for everyone.
He'd start launching nukes before we knew who did it.
Yeah.
And I remember people used to give Bush a real hard time because remember when it was like he all of a sudden just takes a vacation to his ranch for 6 weeks and like what president's ever done that? And that looks like child's play.
Oh yeah, that ain't nothing compared to Mar-a-Lago.
Wait, is that what it is? Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah.
I thought it was Mar-a-Lago.
I've always heard Mar-a-Lago. It might be Mar-a-Lago. Could be. God, these slimes are the fucking most dangerous creature on the planet.
They are. We gotta go up to a bed. This is too dangerous. Not from the slimes, but
the slimes, dude, man, they hurt so bad.
Oh my god! I just rocketed into a skeleton's face.
Gotta kill these slimes before they destroy my farm.
I mean, I'd say goodbye, slime. Farm be gone.
Be gone? Is it like a pesticide? I have a bed over here somewhere.
Is it really a pesticide, or are you saying it sounds like one?
It sounds like one.
Wouldn't that be farm be here? The weeds be gone?
Yeah. All right, I'm in.
I'm in. How long is the series that you're watching?
I'm on episode 5. Each episode's an hour long. I don't know how many episodes there are, though. I haven't even looked. But it's been really good. I mean, it's just another one of those type of shows where it's like, and then we had this happen, and then you got a bunch of people talking about it. Like Tyler Oakley's one of the guys that comes in and talks about YouTube and the rise of YouTube, which he's just just a YouTuber basically.
I don't even know who Tyler Oakley is.
Huh. I don't know how to tell you who Tyler Oakley is.
I mean, was he a really famous YouTuber in the 2000s? Like early YouTuber?
He is an early YouTuber, yeah. I mean, he's gone on to do things outside of YouTube, but I mean, he's still known. Yeah, he was on Amazing Race, actually.
Oh, for his YouTubeness?
Yep. Yeah, he's one of the more
I wonder if
YouTubers.
we'll ever see like Ray William Johnson on one of those shows.
I don't think so. I think Ray William Johnson's really moved on outside of the reality lifestyle. I think he's more interested in media production than he is being the forefront of anything anymore.
I mean, that's technically what he was really always interested in, right?
Yeah.
He just happened to make it big with equals 3, and
yeah,
it's so funny to think about like how he was the #1 most subscribed to YouTuber for quite a while. And now you look at like PewDiePie's numbers are just ridiculously astronomical compared to what his ever were.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a change in the medium. That's for sure. There's no question there.
Once upon a time, 100,000 subscribers would have been like you're just like the top of YouTube,
right? Yeah, I mean, honestly, once they started introducing stuff like the Vivo channels and stuff like that, the whole game kind of changed, really.
Yep, it'll change again at some point. Maybe a different platform.
I do think there'll be a different platform at some point. The way YouTube makes it so difficult to like them is a big problem for everyone, it seems. So.
Yeah, it's so funny because how many people sit here and say that they hate Google?
I mean, not many.
Yeah, nobody sits here and says they hate Google, but they will sit here just like myself. I'm the exact same way. I can say there reasons and days that I hate YouTube, but I never take it as far as to be like, fuck you, Google. Like,
I mean, I think it's because no one really, even associates the two. Like, that's part of that documentary, I guess is what it is talking about, how YouTube was formed and then it was bought by Google and stuff like that. And just how Google started and how Google went from nothing to this big, huge company. And like you have all these interviews with the two founders of Google where they're talking about, who they are. There's just like these, and there's tons of old interviews with dude from Facebook too, whose name Mark Zuckerberg, and like he's just like he's in shorts, he ain't got no shoes on. Like there's a guy in the background doing like fucking things with kegs, and like there's lots of beer around, and like it's just wild. He's only 19 at the point in his interviews.
And Facebook just completely a stolen concept. It's not only a stolen concept that pretty much mimicked an already existing popular thing.
You talking about MySpace?
MySpace is what it mimicked, but then it was stolen from, those Harvard, the Winklevoss brothers, Winklevoss twins, because of, being a closed dating app or whatever. Right. So it's all around. How the fuck did it make it?
Well, I think it made it because he convinced so many college students to sign up. And so he had such a large network of people within the colleges that once it went public, so many people wanted to be involved already because they had friends.
Oh, absolutely. When I didn't get into Facebook much, when it was in its early days, when a lot of my friends, my younger friends, were starting to get into Facebook. By the time I was now hooked and wanted Facebook, I didn't have a .edu email address anymore.
And so you just couldn't get an account. I
couldn't get it because I wasn't allowed to. And then I remember when I found out that my college alumni, allowed you to submit for and granted, I only didn't have a .edu address for a very small period of time. I've gone to college pretty much all my life. It was like
I was about to question that. Actually, I was like, when did you not have an EDU?
It was in that year. It was weird. My college was one year graduated. You no longer to your email account. Like, it's funny because currently I still have access to my one that I just got my doctorate degree from. I still have access to my Georgetown email account if I want to. Like, it's just weird that those still exist, but that one didn't at the time. And then I could sign up for, I found out I could request to get an alumni email account for free. So they just change your username and then they add, at the college.alumni.edu to show that it was an alumni account, but it was still a .edu account. So I used it to sign up for Facebook and thought I was just like the cool shit because I finally had Facebook. And like literally, I think the next week they were like, "We're opening up Facebook to everybody's email." I was like, I know I'm cool and exclusive.
I mean,
I almost feel like I fall into all these at the wrong time because when I finally got that, it was like no longer cool and exclusive. When I finally got YouTube partnership, all of a sudden they opened it up to freaking everybody shortly after.
That's funny. I mean, there's other shit you could do with that EDU address. Like, there's tons of places where you get these huge discounts if you're a student, though, right?
Yeah. I've taken advantage of student discounts pretty much all my life because I've pretty much always been a student. But yeah, I have plenty of EDU addresses, and now I have EDU addresses for like where I'm a professor at. I have EDU addresses for my last college. I still have those alumni accounts.
Right.
I think there's places now you can go on and get EDU addresses too, like
Really?
for free. Yeah.
It's like, is it Netflix? Or I know that, I mean, this is good knowledge because I know that the Creative Cloud that I pay $60 a month for is way cheaper if you have an EDU email address. Like, I need info on how to get me an EDU email address.
I'll have to look and see, because I remember back in the day when the Microsoft Home Use Program was a really big thing. Like, you get copies of Microsoft Office for like $10.99 or $14.99. I can't remember what it was. If you had a qualifying it was supposed to be a qualifying .edu email address, but your college was supposed to also be a participating college. But I remember there being all these forums about it, and there was this random Australian. It was like at Australia.edu or something about Australia was in the name, and it was just this website you could go to that sign up for these free .edu addresses, and it somehow worked on the home use program for a long time. And then it stopped working, people said.
Oh, because everyone and their brother was a member of that school.
Yeah, everybody and their brother was a .edu student. You can just go to college and get a degree and get an alumni account forever.
I'm not doing that.
You could probably buy some. I bet you could buy them off of eBay. Fuck.
Oh, God. That seems like something that shouldn't be allowed by eBay's terms of service. It probably is.
It probably isn't. I mean, I don't think you can, like, people sell, like, Lowe's coupons and stuff on there all the time. And that's not allowed by the terms of service, but...
Really? Because I know, like, you can sell gift cards on there.
And, I thought they had some weird thing about the electronic delivery of things.
So yes, there was a point in eBay's time when they tried to shut down all sales of electronic items because there's no way to track them. And so this was at a point where they were trying to deal with PayPal, because they own PayPal, and they're trying to deal with people claiming non-delivery of an item. And so they didn't want sellers sending things electronically because there's no tracking for that. So then, like, when the buyer comes back and says, I didn't receive this item, there's no seller protection on it. So, like, for electronic items, there is no seller protection.
There's no seller protection anyway. So.
I mean, yeah, that's basically the true truth. But yeah, no, I mean, if you, like, whenever we were selling websites, we started mailing them a thank you letter, basically. We would
there was something to track.
Yeah, we'd send them a CD with a physical copy of the files for their website and a thank you letter, basically. And put tracking on it. That way, if they did come back, because it became a thing, like, where people were buying these things and then immediately saying, after whatever period was necessary, that they'd never received their item, and there wasn't anything I could do. They'd already moved the website to its own host and moved the domain into their name and whatnot. So there wasn't like I could grab these things back from them. They were gone, but they got their money back because eBay's like, well, show us that tracking number.
So do they not do that anymore, or do you just not know?
I don't know. Now I don't know how that marketplace even works because I'm not involved. I mean, it went
I thought I had read that it wasn't allowed, that you weren't supposed to do it, but
I know definitely know they still sell digital items, but I don't know if they're doing it. I don't know. I mean, I do know that there are people selling.
Yeah, because let's buy like Lowe's coupons. It's funny, if I'm buying anything expensive from Lowe's, $100 or more, I'll just go onto eBay, drop $2 and get a 20% off coupon and drop 20% off my bill, like, while I'm sitting there online. It's worth it to me to save $18 total because I had to spend $2 to buy a coupon.
Yeah.
Like, it works for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm in bed, just so you know.
When you're talking about Lowe's, you talking about the hardware store or the grocery store?
Hardware store. There's a grocery store named Lowe's?
Mm-hmm. Lowe's Foods.
I didn't know that.
Oh Jesus! It's spelled the same and everything, and it is confusing.
Oh, speaking of which, oh god, this is probably going to be a longer conversation. Though we might have to wait until the next video.
Okay. Well, let's end this one here, and you can bring that conversation right on over.
All right, guys, you wait for it. It's going to be so intriguing.
2 days.
Got it yourself.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.